Welcome to Tape Crusaders. I apologize, my voice is still a little bit gone, but
it's getting better.
It's good enough for Superboy. Let's put it that way. Okay, I'm your co-host, Mike L. As always, I'm joined by
Joshua Marvell, and yeah, like Mike said, we're going to be talking about the 1988-ish TV pilot for Superboy.
That's right. We're joined by the owner of Meteor, Champ Ian.
Hi.
And we say joined by, but really...
He's the co-host. Yeah, you're a regular co-host now.
For many months, I don't know if I'm ready for that responsibility quite yet. You know what? Okay, all right. Provisional co-host just because it's Superboy.
Yes.
And if we all screw this up, we'll be fine.
Superboy makes it official.
We'll be fine.
Okay, but guess what? Also, we've had one special guest before, but this is the first time we have an intercity guest. An intercity guest. From what city you are calling us from, Andrew?
I am calling from Oshawa right now, which is just east of Toronto.
Oshawa, Ontario. Andrew Banks. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, when I told you about this show, you demanded that you appear on our Superboy episode. Why are you such a big fan of this Superboy TV show?
Well, it's a show that I actually grew up with, and I remember saying at one point, it wasn't until around the season 3 and season 4 that I really got into it. So this has been interesting for me because this pilot is from season 1, which I did not see any of when I was a kid.
So here's the thing, just so you guys know, I grew up on this show. Like, I was already a fan of the Christopher Reeve movies. This TV show came out when I was about 11 years old. Okay. And I watched almost every episode. Now, wow. Champion, we're going to go in order of age here.
Yeah.
Ian, did you know about the show when you were a kid?
I had never, no, not even remotely.
You never heard of it?
I don't know if I even knew that there was such a thing as Superboy.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay, Joshua Marvell, had you ever heard of this show?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, not at all.
Were you aware of the existence of Superboy, though, as a concept?
As a concept, but...
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Superman had to be a boy at some point, but I didn't know that they...
So, Andrew, are you familiar with the Superboy comics at all?
It's hard to say because I'm going to say no, just because I did have 2 Superboy comics growing up, but they were based on the series as opposed to the original Superboy run. I mean, I know they exist, but I haven't really read them. It's if I recall correctly, they're kind of in that concept of like Silver Age Superman, where it's like they're kind of prank stories, or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
So here's the thing. Yes. So Superman was introduced in 1938. Superboy was introduced in about 1945 as kind of like a one-off, like, hey, you know, what would it be like if Superman started his career when he was a boy? And we're talking like an 8-year-old boy, okay? The series went on, this little strip, it was a backup strip, and it became more and more popular. And eventually he took over Adventure Comics, okay? This was one of the best-selling comics of the 50s and 60s. So Superman was the #1 selling character, but Superboy was right up there, top 5, okay? Huge character. And then as time went on, I'll just give you the quick version, around 1986, DC decided we're going to restart Superman and pretend that he never had a career as Superboy. So they erased him from existence. And then 2 years later, they launched a TV show called Superboy because they didn't care. Like, whatever. Okay, fine.
Money.
Yeah,
is
money.
Probably
Exactly.
the reason.
Who gives a shit? So anyway, this TV show comes out, low budget, clearly low budget, straight to syndication, right? It lasted 100 episodes, so obviously it was successful.
That's crazy.
They did fire the lead actor after the first season. So the first lead actor, Ian, has all the research here.
Yeah, it's called Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's called. We're just going to read off Wikipedia for the next hour.
John Hames Newton was the original Superboy.
John Hames Newton.
We all know John.
Yeah, yes, the original Superboy. Now, there's actually conflicting reasons why he left. When I was growing up, I read an article that said that he was arrested for drunk driving. And kicked off the show because it conflicted with his image as Superboy. But years later, he said that's total BS, right? Now, we should remind everyone.
Well, of course, just at the trial.
Well, at the time, the show was produced by Alexander and Illya Salkind, whom we know as the producing team that screwed over Richard Donner.
That's right.
After Superman 1. So these guys are sketchy, right? So who knows what happened? Doesn't matter. then the
Well, I'm
second...
sure it matters to John.
It matters to him, not to us. Okay, not on this show. But the second actor to play Superboy was Gerald Christopher, who got the job because he shares a name with Christopher Reeve.
That's it?
Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I just made that up.
Oh.
Anyway, but now before we get to anything about this particular episode, Andrew, which actor do you like better as Superboy?
I could be saying this purely from nostalgic bias, but I prefer Gerard Christopher. The only thing I didn't like though was that, I only found this out today, was that he's something like 6 feet tall, but because they made the cape so big and flowing by the time he took over, it made him look really small. And I get why they made the cape huge, but yeah, it's just like he looks like he's 5'0".
You know, I tend to, if I had one thing to say about live action Superman, make his cape smaller. I'm with you on that. Now, the other thing is that I think the second actor was older. I think he was like 30 when he got the role. And he was playing like a teenager, which was kind of weird.
Like everybody else in the show.
Like everyone else in the 80s. Yeah,
Yeah.
like everyone in the show.
Okay, sorry to interject here, but I did break form and do a small, tiny little bit of research. I read a little bit of this Wikipedia article, and it wasn't only Superboy whose actor was recast in the second season, but it was also young Lex Luthor. Now,
True.
the young Lex Luthor, there was a plot point where he was in an industrial accident or something, and he lost all his hair, and that explained his changed appearance for the second season. Now, I'm wondering, since I haven't seen more than this one episode, the replacement actor for Superboy, how similar did he look aside from height differences?
He looks different enough that we can tell him apart, but he still has dark hair. He's handsome, but he does look drastically different, right, Andrew?
Yeah, I find that they look more drastically different on like their covers, but actually seeing the footage, they look more similar. But it is noticeable that there's been an actor change for sure.
They're very different. Like I would say that Gerald Christopher is more of a traditional, I guess like he's a little bit bulkier. And he looks more like, in my opinion, more like Superman, more like a strong man, like a bigger jaw.
Right.
Whereas the original actor is almost like just like a different look. Like he has the dark hair, but other than that, I would never cast him as Superman personally.
Right. But how about Superboy? Because he is supposed to be younger, and like I feel like I could buy
This
I mean,
actor?
obviously I've never seen seen the other actor before, but I feel like that might make a better Superboy.
Possibly.
I thought he was fine. I thought he was perfectly fine.
You know what's funny? I gotta say but we gotta get to this episode. But let me just say one more thing.
No, don't. But
I
Please,
watched the entire 100 episodes like a few years ago. Now, granted, I didn't sit and watch them like
study.
I just put them on in the background while I did other things, but I still watch them, and they're awesome. Okay, they're all as awesome as this. And we're going to get to this pilot right now. Let's talk about this pilot. So this is the pilot episode that was recut for syndication. The name of the episode is...
it was...
No lasers.
Goodness. No lasers.
No
That's the only thing I
lasers.
remember about the...
Hashtag no lasers.
But just as a quick summary, Ian, I'll do the plot summary.
Yeah, because I'm looking for...
There's nuclear protests. A bunch of guys break into a base to steal a laser.
Yeah.
And then Clark Kent, who's got his friends Lana Lang and
TJ?
TJ White, who's the son of Perry White.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
They try to help her, and Clark Kent is constantly trying to find places to turn to Superboy. But whenever he turns around, there's like a girl, like doing her homework, and then there's a guy doing something. So he can never find a place to turn to Superboy.
Despite the fact that he's often just coming out of a building
I know.
where he's
Just
by
go back
himself.
in the same
Empty
building we were just in.
Yeah. Not like it matters anyways, because he just walks into like a room and uses his powers in front of the guy.
I know. It's ridiculous. So the most important plot point of the whole episode, though, is that while they're trying to figure out how to rescue Lana Lang, they call up. Ma Kent calls him up and says something along the lines of, "Oh, how are you doing, son? I heard that you're thinking about becoming Superboy." So they already knew that he was going to create a superhero identity of Superboy, and he just hadn't used it yet.
Right.
And like they knew somehow he was thinking about doing it. I don't know how they knew. But anyway,
Yeah.
he does become Superboy. He does go to the rescue. No one knows who he is. He has to introduce himself. Who are you? He says, I'm Superboy. I fight for truth, justice, the American way. He fights them all. He wins. The end. He
Yeah.
rescues Lana Lang. That's it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's the end.
There's
yeah.
something about a space shuttle launch there too.
Yeah, there is somewhere in there. Because the show is filmed in Florida.
Okay.
So it takes place in Florida, I believe, at Shuster University, I think. We don't do research. It doesn't matter.
No,
Okay.
well, it's 90 minutes from Cape
And
Canaveral.
For the opening intro, Superboy's flying around the bridge that leads to the keys.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
different. He's not in Smallville. He's not in Metropolis. He's in Florida. It's different. But before we do anything, I'll have you know, Andrew, Ian does not know anything about superheroes. He doesn't read superhero comics. He doesn't
No.
watch superhero movies.
No.
So we're going to ask Ian.
Yeah, tilt this towards me a little bit.
the
Hi, how you doing?
expert.
How you doing?
We want to know Ian's opinion. You've never seen this show before. What did you think of this pilot episode?
This pilot episode reminded me of something that you and I would have made in high school.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Both, like, not only in the very depressed level of technology and editing, but just like there was no plot to it whatsoever. There was this gang of football players that stole a laser
Yeah.
in the middle of a nuclear protest for some reason. Had nothing to do with nukes. It was this laser, and they were going to disrupt the space shuttle launch, but they never really.
For some reason.
somebody
was going to pay them money.
someone's going to pay the money, but
Yeah.
then they got into a helicopter and they flew away on their own. There was nothing that really happened at all aside from a kidnapping. It was also like Inception level green screens. There were green screens on top of
Right.
green screens on top of green screens,
Yeah.
and it almost looked as though they had filmed a scene in green screen and then they back projected it and then filmed someone in front of that.
Right.
Yeah, here's the thing. Usually, like I can forgive when he's flying to have a green screen.
Sure.
But you're right. It's like he's just standing talking to someone
Yeah, when he-
outside and they're green screening things
Yeah,
in.
it
Yeah, like
definitely
that-
feels like the effects where they couldn't get the crowd around when they lower him on the crane. So they have to lower him on a crane on a green screen and then have the crowd in front afterwards. Like it
Even
just,
when it's a really small, like when he is at Cape Canaveral and he's talking to like 3 admirals,
Yeah.
and that's green screen for some reason.
it
There's
doesn't-
no special effect going on
It
there.
doesn't make sense.
I totally understand what you're saying. It took me a minute to figure out, and then I realized it's because they couldn't actually get footage of a space shuttle launch, and so they had to green screen all of that with the shuttle in the background. It's just like, yeah, there's no reason why they should be oh, wait, that's right, it's the stock footage. That's their background played.
It just makes me wonder, why didn't they just delete that from the script when they were writing it? Like, why do they have to have a space shuttle, right?
Yeah,
It's
because
all about
that
the lasers.
wasn't part of the plot point anyway, because
Right.
they didn't, aside from the fact that they were near there, the space shuttle had nothing to do with
Nothing.
anything. So he just dropped down in Cape Canaveral and said, "Hi, I'm Superboy. I stand for all these things," and then he just fucked off.
It's true.
He didn't.
yeah.
He didn't save the day there. He didn't stop a threat there.
That's true. Good point.
He didn't do anything there except for say
But-
hi.
Now, here's
Bye.
the thing. We're going to talk about the budget a little bit later. But Andrew, since you've seen the later seasons, from that perspective, what did you think of this early season episode?
It was incredibly low budget compared to later seasons and not nearly as well done. However, I thought, except for all the green screen scenes, because those did not translate well, I thought it was going to be worse. I honestly thought it was going to, they at least knew how to frame a shot. The acting wasn't terrible, except for some of Roscoe's extreme close-ups when he realized the laser worked. But yeah, much lower budget. I think you guys know which shot I'm talking about.
Oh, well, okay. First of all, the budget was brutal. Like I was saying before we watched it, this could not be made today. Like the worst, lowest budget show on streaming or even like, direct to YouTube, even those shows have bigger budgets than this.
Yeah.
This looked horrible. But at the same time, I'm with you. I found myself enjoying it. even though I just rewatched it 4 years ago, I already forgot it, but I was enjoying it. And we were like, there was an audience of 2 here, and we all liked it. And I feel like there was some kind of weird appeal to this that I could go back and watch all 100 episodes again. Josh, what do you think?
I don't know if I could do it by myself. I feel like in this atmosphere, it was great. Like sitting down with you guys watching it, it was a lot of fun. It being cheesy and like having that feeling of like this low budget high school film, it was the charm for me.
Sure.
I don't think anything actually happening in the story or the actors or anything else would draw me in. Like, I don't think that I would go back and watch any of this. And maybe it's also like me with not having the nostalgia for it or what, but I like...
Here's the thing. Yeah. Like, we've watched some bad movies on this podcast, like Flash Gordon, Buck Riders, Scarlet Pimpernel.
Yeah, there's some Doc Savage.
Captain America. Ooh, brutal. But there's something about this show, and I think it's because it's just like
it's 20 minutes.
It's like one take. It's like even the girl who plays Lana Lang. What's the actress's name?
Oh, I got to look at this again. It's
she's a good actress. But
Stacey Hyduck.
Yeah, Hyduck, whatever. But when the guy who plays the bad guy is like kind of sexually harassing her, and she's like pushing his arms away, there's like an awkward shooting style and editing style, but there's some kind of magic about just it. I don't know. Andrew and I have worked on some low budget movies together, and even a bad movie has good moments between actors. I find if you can capture that magic, I think this show has that magic where like they're having fun and they're enjoying what they're doing. And I think it comes through, and that's what makes me enjoy it. Andrew, what do you think?
I'm inclined to agree, especially like I found that in the very beginning when Lana was taking her high horse, that was a little too much. But then as the danger came along, it's just like, it started to get better.
Well, okay, that's good to know. Ian, what do you think?
Well, to a degree, I agree, right? Like it seemed as though the three leads, John and Stacy and whoever played, was it TJ or something? TJ White. They were aware of what they were doing. They knew that they were in a low budget Superman TV show, and they were making it theirs. Mm-hmm. And the interactions between those three, I thought were charming in a way, right? You could tell they were having fun doing it. They were trying their best. Yeah. Everything else going on around them was just terrible. And like I couldn't sit and watch 100 of these. For the reasons that Josh, you're saying, like it was enjoyable because we were here. It was enjoyable because we had two people in the audience with us. We could hear them laughing at the funny parts along with us. Right? You enjoyed on that level, and I think that on some level, these actors knew what they were doing as well, and they knew. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that they would have been that they were surprised when it got picked up for another season.
How about three more? Four total. 100 episodes, folks. Successful show.
Where did this air?
It is straight to syndication. So when it was on TV, it was on like I think Sunday morning in Detroit, which is where I saw it. So straight to syndication back then would have been like below straight to streaming now.
Right.
Straight to syndication meant it went directly to, if you're in Detroit area, there was 247 and then there was 20 and 50. So if a show went straight to syndication, it would have been something like Small Wonder. Remember the girl? Yeah. Was she an alien or a robot?
I think it was a robot.
Saved by the Bell.
Okay, yeah.
Was a straight to syndication.
So these weren't network shows. Yeah. They were like whatever UHF station.
Right. Exactly. Right. And I got to say one more quick thing. What's that?
So when I was watching it, was on Fox.
Okay. So that was probably a little bit later. Yeah, because you came in on season 3. But here's the thing. Do you remember the show that this was paired up with? This was the show that was awesome. And it was where Jerry O'Connell got a start. Remember My Secret Identity? It was a show. It was a teenage kid, Jerry O'Connell. Everyone knows Jerry. Okay, forget it. No one knows Jerry O'Connell. You can look him up on the.
I'm not going to bother.
I can't even remember the name of the show. It's Jill Henston.
Was it called My Secret Identity? Was that a different show? No, so My Secret Identity. It was a kid who got superpowers, and he had a 40-year-old mentor who was like a scientist, and he had superpowers, but he had no secret identity. That's which is ironic about the name of the show. He had no name. He had no superhero name. He was just a kid that could like fly and like was super strong, and he would control his direction by spraying aerosol cans. But it was actually a really good show. And here's the thing, is I didn't know until 30 years later it was produced in Canada, in Toronto.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I grew up, Superboy came on right before or right after My Secret Identity, and both of them were awesome. And anyway,
this is how good the Superboy episode was. That talking about My Secret Identity now.
It's
some
more
other
interesting.
some other show that I've never heard of.
The point is that those were good times for TV. Let me tell you, the straight to syndication days. Okay, so
to me, it felt like from my childhood watching Disney Channel
sure
shows,
Sure.
like very like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana style, like.
Which I've never seen. I'm sure you
Kids,
haven't seen either.
yeah.
No.
Like young kids shows. And then as the credits roll, I see it was produced by Disney. I'm assuming on like some sort of Disney lot.
Sure.
Made similarly. And I feel like if we were to watch something like that from my childhood, you guys would feel the same, or at least, you know.
Yeah, the same.
You would feel the same, like, okay, yeah, it was
whatever.
It was funny
Yeah.
watching it with you guys,
Exactly.
but I would never visit this
Exactly.
again. But I'm sure I could revisit some of those
Or like
shows
Mighty Morphin
now.
Power Rangers.
Right,
Like
something
there's like
where
30
it's like-
seasons of that.
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't. I get the appeal. I just don't feel like it's like I'm the audience, because it's, you know,
Sure.
I didn't love it as a kid.
So here's the thing. I got to ask you one more thing about Superman, Andrew. I personally, I love Superman, but I thought Superman Returns by Bryan Singer was boring AF. I thought Man of Steel by Zack Snyder was offensive AF. I hate those movies. This to me is the last like vestige of the classic Superman to me, because it's the Salkinds, even though they're shady Europeans with shady money. We're going to talk about that. The point is that this is the real Superman to me. Yeah, exactly. Do you feel like this has the spirit of Superman in it?
The spirit of Superman? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because when I was younger, as much as I grew up on Superman comics, I started really getting into it post Death of Superman. So I know they're not necessarily the best Superman comics around. But yeah, it still had that vibe. This show still definitely has that vibe. And even as like later seasons 3 and 4, stories even started to get a little bit darker, probably because of Batman's success around that time. But it still had that spirit. It was dark to the point where it's just like, oh my God, Superboy might actually lose in this episode, or the next episode, or the next episode. But the vibe is still there for sure.
I got to say, it does get better as it goes along, and the budget gets bigger, and the writing gets better. It's worth watching all 100 episodes.
I have a question about this episode in particular, though.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
This was the pilot,
Yes.
but this was also aired as the 5th episode. They've recut it
Yes.
to make it sort of fit in sequence. Now, in the previous 4 episodes, does Superboy make his existence known? Because it seems as though...
Yes.
Well, then...
Okay, this is where I was confused, because
Lana had no idea who Superboy
Yeah,
was.
TJ as
here's
well.
the thing.
TJ had no idea.
When I was reading about this episode, they said that they recut it for syndication and added narration by Lana Lang. I have a feeling the version we watched was the original version.
Pilot.
I think so, because I was waiting, because apparently the recut has flashbacks with Lana Lang narrating, but obviously that was not in this version.
No.
So I think this was just the actual pilot version.
Oh, so did I screw up?
No. You did a good thing, because you found the version that I thought didn't exist.
Oh.
So that's
The
good.
lost footage.
Yeah, exactly. And see, from my limited research, the original pilot version has never been officially re-released. So maybe you found a VHS
recording or
cut. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Which is very
interesting because I was pretty confused, especially like during the phone call.
Sure.
Right. Like, are you thinking of becoming Superboy? Be careful if you're going to be Superboy.
Right.
It sounded as though this was his first foray into being Superboy, which didn't make an awful lot of sense considering.
Yeah, maybe he tried it before on the farm in Smallville or something, and then I don't know what they were thinking with that line.
I think they were just bad writers, and they didn't know what to put in there, and they had to put
been watching the news for the last 4 weeks. The blue and red streak in the sky, that was me.
So here's the thing. Like you said, the Batman influence comes in. I actually kind of forgot this started before Batman. So this was still like, to me, Batman is not ground zero, but it's like a dividing line in, superhero film history. And this is pre that. So it's still a little bit naive. It's still a little bit primitive, but I love it. I'm sure you love it, Andrew. Like I said, I rewatched all 100 episodes. I'm not saying you guys got to do that, but I'm saying you out there, you have to do that. I don't know what else to say about this. Am I going to rewatch it again? Maybe. I also have to say the comic book, Andrew, that you mentioned, there's a comic book called Superboy, the comic book, and then it was renamed Adventures of Superboy. It's actually awesome. It has art by legendary Superman artist Kurt Swan, and it's set in this TV show continuity, but it is really well done. I still have mine. You have those issues?
I do still have one of them is a Bizarro issue. Bizarro is painting a portrait of
yes.
on Superboy on the cover, and then the other one is the Kryptonite Rain.
Yeah, but great. Covers by Kevin McGuire. Kevin McGuire is awesome. I got to point out.
Okay.
Yeah, this TV show introduces Lex Luthor, Brainiac. No, not Brainiac. Metallo, Bizarro, Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Wow.
Yeah, all of them.
I did, before watching this, I accidentally watched the very first episode because I thought that's what we were watching. And Lex Luthor is the most annoying character I think I've ever seen on TV.
Agreed. Obnoxious actor. Yeah, miscast, but...
Oh, it's pronounced Laviosa, Superboy.
Yeah, exactly. He learned to talk by watching Scarlet Pimpernel. Anyway, okay, so I think we've just about reached the end of our discussion.
Yeah.
Well, how much?
We have about 50 seconds left.
50 seconds. Let's wrap it up. Okay, we want to thank Andrew Banks for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew.
Superhero fan. Thank you for calling in from Oshawa, Ontario.
It's a long way away, guys.
When we do the other 99 episodes, we'll have you on again. Okay?
That sounds awesome. I can't wait for Lex Luger Superboy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Champion, for having us, as always.
Anytime. See you next week.
Yeah, that's right. And every other week when we do the podcast, and then every week when we watch a movie at Meteor, please come out. Next movie is...
Oh, I forget. Oh, it's Mean Girls.
Yes,
Mean
it
Girls.
is.
Yeah.
Mean Girls. Come out for that one. Thank you, Joshua Mervell.
Yeah, of course.
And tell everybody where they can see the show.
All right, you can also find all of our stuff on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. And if you want the video versions, they're also on our YouTube channel at The Comic Book Syndicate. Leave us a review, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about Superboy and all the other comics and movies and stuff that we're watching. So keep in touch. Let's keep that comics conversation going, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.